Hello friends. In today's session we are going to discuss continental drift theory. This is one of the very popular topics in geography and is one of the popular topics in many exams as well. You all know that continental drift theory was first suggested by Alfred Lothar Wegener. But you should also know that the idea of continental drift was first given by Abraham Ortelius. Abraham Ortelius was a Dutch cartographer. In 15th century, he gave an idea that all the continents were together and now they have drifted apart. His follower, Antonio Snyder Pellegrini, drew a map showing all continents together. So these two were the first to give the idea of continental drift, which was used later by Alfred Lothar Wegener in his article Origin of Oceans and Continents in the year 1912. Alfred Lothar Wegener was a climatologist. He was trying to understand the past and present climates of the world, how the climates were earlier and how it has changed now. In order to suggest this climatic drift, he gave a theory called continental drift hypothesis in his article Origin of Oceans and Continents. He highlighted the giant landmass by the name Pangea. Pan means all, Gea means earth. It was surrounded by a large ocean called Panthalassa. Pan means all and Thalassa meaning sea. You can notice in this small video how Pangea drifted into Laurasia in the north and Gondwana in the south, and they are surrounded by a large ocean called Panthalassa, which is given in blue. So this is the Tethys Sea in the middle. You can notice how the Laurasia and Gondwana further drifted into smaller subcontinents, and gradually they all drifted apart, giving us present 7 continents and 5 oceans. Please watch it again, friends. I want all of you to pay attention to the continents, Laurasia in the north and the Gondwana in the south, and the Tethys Sea in the middle. Please notice Indian subcontinent drifted apart from South America, Africa, Madagascar, Australia, Antarctica, drifted into northeast direction, collided with Eurasian landmass, forming the present location, uplifting the Tethys Sea sediments into mighty Himalayas. So we'll be discussing more about the Himalayas in the next session. In today's session, let's complete this topic. I want you to notice here I'm going to show you step by step how Pangea split into Laurasia in the north and Gondwana in the south, and the sea in the middle was called a Tethys Sea or Tethys Ocean, which had large sediments deposited in it by the ancient rivers. So Tethys Sea was basically a geosyncline. Please notice India here, friends. Here I have highlighted all the names of each continent: North America, South America, Africa, Arabian Peninsula here, Eurasia, India, Madagascar, Antarctica, and Australia. Notice India was earlier in the southern hemisphere, part of the Gondwana. The word Gond comes from the central Indian tribe who live presently in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Gond. So Laurasia comes from the Canadian plateau called Laurentian Plateau in northeastern part of North America here. So Laurentia comes from Canada, and the word Gond comes from the central Indian tribe called Gond in Madhya Pradesh. Notice India drifted from all these surrounding continents 88 million years ago and drifted in northeast direction, and slowly we can notice India collided with the Eurasian landmass. So the Tethys Sea sediments here were squeezed, compressed and uplifted into the mighty Himalayas and Tibetan Plateau. Please notice this, friends. So this led to the formation of 7 continents and 5 oceans. You can see how Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Oceans were all created. And the present Panthalassa is called as Pacific Ocean. Okay. So this was the continental drift theory, friends. In order to prove his theory, he suggested various evidences. First evidence was the zigs of it and the shape of the continents. Second was rocks. Third evidence was minerals, especially the placer deposits of gold. Then there was the glacial tillate, and fifth was the fossil evidence. You can notice here in the first evidence he suggested was the shape of the continents. Notice all the continents, even today, they match with each other. There is a perfect symmetrical fit among the continents. Notice the shape of South America and Africa. Africa, Madagascar, India. India, Antarctica. Antarctica, Australia. Notice North America with Africa. North America with Greenland. Greenland with Norway. Like this, all the continents, even today, they fit with each other. So this perfect symmetrical fit or jigsaw fit was the first evidence given by Alfred Wegener. Second was the rocks and the mountains on either side of the continents. Here we have Appalachian Mountains, here we have Atlas Mountains, here we have Scandinavian Mountains, here we have other mountains of British Isles like Pennine Mountain, Caledonian Mountains, we call them as. So earlier all the continents were together, so these mountains were also formed together at the same time. So gradually the continents drifted apart, spreading them apart from one another. So the mountains and rocks on either side match with each other even today. So friends, remember rocks and mountains and the minerals found on these rocks are also one of the evidence suggested by Alfred Wegener. So while giving the evidence for minerals, Alfred Wegener suggested the placer deposits of gold. Placer deposits are basically sedimentary deposits. When the two continents spread out, they leave behind certain sedimentary deposits. Just like when you break a biscuit, some small sediments are left. Just like that, when the continents split apart, small sediments are left on either side. So Alfred Wegener collected gold deposits from Ghana and Brazil, highlighting the continents were once upon a time together. Now they have drifted apart. Next evidence suggested was glacial tillate or glacial deposits. So we all know that once upon a time when Gondwana was together, South America, Africa, India, Antarctica, Australia were all form of single landmass. Here all these were covered with a giant glacier. Okay, and this giant glacier gradually it collected large boulders, sediments, and all. And when the continents drifted apart, the glaciers slowly melted because Gondwana was in the polar temperate climate. When the continental drift took place, all the continents drifted to a newer location. So in the newer location, most of these continents came to a tropical location, gradually melting the glaciers. When the glaciers melted, they left behind those small clay, boulders, sediments collected by the glaciers. So today, these glacial evidences are called as tillate or till. So till is basically glacial sediments left by the glacier. Today it is found in India, Africa, Madagascar, Australia and South America, suggesting that all continents were once upon a time together. That once upon a time all these continents had a common glacier. So this was another major evidence suggested by Alfred Wegener. Next and the last evidence was fossil evidence. We all know that once upon a time we had large number of species that thrived on earth and today those species are extinct. Some of these flora and fauna and their fossil evidence can be noticed in soil and rocks of various continents. For example, Glossopteris was a fern which was found on all the continents of Gondwana. You can see Cygnognathus and Lystroceros are the reptiles which are found in most of the continents here, like South America and Africa, India, Madagascar, Africa, so on. Mesoceros was also a water-based reptile and it was found here in Africa and South America. So like this, so various species were found on all these continents and evidences suggested that once upon a time these continents were together, and that's the reason the fossil evidences can be noticed in all of these species. Similarly, lemurs were found in Africa, India and Madagascar. So India, Africa, Madagascar were together called as Lemuria. So like this, various evidences were given by Alfred Wegener to prove his theory. Once the evidences were right, Alfred Wegener wanted to prove his theory by giving the reasons. So he suggested two reasons for the drift. Alfred Wegener, we should remember friends, he was a climatologist, he was not a geologist. So he, in order to prove his theory, suggested two forces. One is the rotation of the earth, and because of the rotation and a geoidal bulge, because of the geoidal bulge we have higher gravity in the polar region and lower gravity in the equatorial region. Alfred Wegener suggested that because of the higher gravitational force in the polar region, most of the continents are drifting polewards, which was not approved by the scientists' friends. So, polar fleeing force suggested by Alfred Wegener, which is caused due to the Earth rotation, failed to explain the continental drift. Next theory or next force he suggested was the tidal force. We all know the sun and moon's gravity cause tides. So Alfred Wegener suggested that tidal force would be the reason for the drift of the continent. This also failed to explain the continental drift theory, friends, because the tides are just rise and fall in water level. They can't push the continents apart. As a result, Alfred Wegener's reasons for the drift failed to explain. His theory remained as an hypothesis. So, in this short video, I've tried to explain the reasons, evidences of the continental drift, and small video also to explain how the drift has taken place. In next video, I'll be explaining what are the reasons for the drift. So, I hope all of you liked this short video, friends. I've tried to make sure that in a very small time, we have explained the continental drift theory. And I request if you all like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.